Sometimes the smallest moment can change a life forever. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or loud announcements. It comes quietly, like a gentle knock on the heart, asking to be noticed. Most people miss it. But when someone chooses kindness in that moment, everything can shift. This is one of those stories. A story about an ordinary day, an ordinary street, and one simple act of kindness that traveled farther than anyone could have imagined. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that touch your heart and remind you of the good in the world, please take a second to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps our channel, Soul Tales, continue bringing meaningful stories to you. On a quiet autumn morning in a small American town, the street looked the same as it always did. Yellow leaves scattered across the sidewalks, cars passed by in a steady rhythm. People moved quickly, eyes down, minds already filled with their own worries. Daniel Parker stood at the bus stop, clutching his coffee cup like it was the only thing holding him together. He was 42, divorced, and exhausted in a way sleep could never fix. His job at the warehouse paid the bills, but it drained his spirit. Every morning felt heavier than the last. That day he almost didn't notice the old woman standing a few steps away. She was small, wrapped in a faded blue coat that looked too thin for the cold. Her hands shook slightly as she tried to balance a grocery bag that had clearly seen better days. The bag ripped suddenly, spilling apples and cans onto the sidewalk. People walked past her. Some glanced over and kept going. Others pretended not to see at all. Daniel watched it happen, telling himself the same excuses everyone else used. "I'm tired, I'm late, someone else will help." Then he saw her face. She wasn't angry, she wasn't shouting for help. She just looked defeated, as if this small accident confirmed something she already believed about the world. Daniel sighed, set his coffee down, and stepped forward. "Let me help you with that," he said. The woman looked up, surprised, as if kindness had caught her off guard. "Oh, thank you," she replied softly. "I didn't mean to make a mess." "It's no mess," Daniel said, kneeling to pick up the apples. "Happens to all of us." As they gathered the groceries, she told him her name was Margaret. She was 78 and lived alone since her husband passed away 5 years earlier. She walked to the store every week because she didn't drive anymore. When Daniel finished helping, he noticed the bus pulling up in the distance. "I can walk you home if you'd like," he offered, surprising even himself. Margaret hesitated. "That's very kind, but you'll be late." Daniel shrugged. "I think I can spare a few minutes." They walked slowly, side by side. Margaret talked about her late husband, about how they used to dance in the living room on Sunday mornings. Daniel listened, really listened, for the first time in a long while. When they reached her small house, she turned to him with a smile that felt warmer than the sun. "You don't know how much this meant to me today." Daniel smiled back. "I think I needed it too." He missed his bus. He arrived late to work, and for once he didn't care. Over the next few weeks, Daniel found himself thinking about Margaret often. One evening, on impulse, he stopped by her house with an extra bag of groceries. She was shocked, then overjoyed. That visit turned into many. Daniel fixed a broken step on her porch. He helped change light bulbs and carried heavy boxes. Margaret cooked simple meals and insisted he stay for dinner. They laughed together, shared stories, and slowly filled empty spaces in each other's lives. Word spread. A neighbor dropped off soup one night. A teenager offered to shovel Margaret's driveway after a snowstorm. A local librarian brought her large print books. Kindness, once started, began to move like a ripple through the neighborhood. Daniel didn't notice the change in himself right away, but his co-workers did. He smiled more. He listened. He helped without being asked. The heaviness that once followed him everywhere started to lift. His life wasn't perfect, but it felt meaningful again. One afternoon, Daniel arrived at Margaret's house and found an ambulance outside. His heart dropped. At the hospital, a nurse explained that Margaret had suffered a mild stroke. She was stable but frightened. Daniel sat beside her bed, holding her hand as she slept. When she woke up, she squeezed his fingers. "You came," she whispered. "Of course," Daniel said. "I'm not going anywhere." Margaret spent weeks in recovery. Daniel visited every day. So did neighbors. Cards filled her room. Flowers crowded the windowsill. One evening, Margaret asked Daniel to open the drawer beside her bed. Inside was a folded letter. "I wrote this just in case," she said gently, "but I want you to have it now." Daniel read it later, alone. In the letter, Margaret wrote about that morning at the bus stop, how she had felt invisible, how she had gone home that day ready to give up, believing she no longer mattered, and how one man stopping to help had changed everything. "You reminded me that kindness still lives in this world," she wrote, "and because of you I wanted to keep living in it." Daniel sat quietly, tears streaming down his face. Margaret recovered and returned home. Life continued, as it always does. Seasons changed. Years passed. When Margaret eventually passed away peacefully in her sleep, the entire neighborhood attended her memorial. People shared stories of her warmth, her humor, and her quiet strength. Daniel stood at the front, holding the letter. He told them about the spilled groceries, about the walk home, about how kindness had crossed a street and built a community. Today, Daniel volunteers at a local shelter. He helps seniors with errands. He never walks past someone in need, not because he's a hero, but because he knows how powerful a small moment can be, because he knows that kindness doesn't just change the person who receives it, it changes the person who gives it, and everyone who witnesses it. And somewhere, on a quiet street, another small act of kindness is waiting to happen. All it needs is someone willing to stop.